Hello, 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 powerful souls. Welcome to Wake Up Wednesday Live. I am so excited for you to be here, and I am so excited to be here with you. My name is Laurie Micah. I am the host of the Laurie Micah podcast, where we primarily interview people who have had near-death experiences, spiritually transformative experiences, out-of-body experiences, astral travelers, channelers, mediums. If it's spiritual, I want to have a deep conversation with you. So, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I just need a thumbs up that somebody is able to hear me. We've had some microphone issues in the past couple of lives, and I want to make sure that everything is good. It looks good on my end, but can you hear me? I will wait. I will wait till somebody answers. Okay. I see you're still. Yes, I'm at my cabin. I will be at my cabin all summer. I usually come up here somewhere the end of May, beginning of June, and I love to stay until the middle of October. But I have a wedding to go to back on the West Coast, so I'm actually going to leave mid-September. So plenty of time for me to enjoy the woods, the blueberry picking, the kayaking. I'm just so blessed to be able to have a getaway. I do still do my interviews here, but I don't do as many. I usually do like 2 a week instead of 5 a week, and then I edit. And so this is my time where I'm working on building some things to enhance your experience. So I'm working on a search engine that will help people to be able to search the videos to find the parts and the pieces in the specific aspects of an NDE or an OBE that you want to hear more about, learn more about, just listen to. So if there's an experience with Jesus, you'd be able to search that. If it's a life review or Archangel Michael or you name it, that's what I'm working on this summer. So hopefully we'll have something like this ready in the fall for everybody. And I think I'd really love to bring it to everybody for free. So all right. I'm going to let the comments start to heat up. I will remind you that this time is for you. You are able to ask me anything that you would like to ask. You can ask questions that are more personal, more wide subjective within the spiritual realm. You can ask me about guests, anything. I'm open to answering anything. So as always, I start off with synchronicities and signs. If you're really not familiar that much with my channel, I started like 600 videos ago. I released a series of videos called Uncover Your Soul's Purpose, What You Don't Know Is Holding You Back. And this was as a result of an experience I had on the other side. The day after that experience, I got a download and I just wrote it down, and it wound up being an outline that turned into 60 videos that I recorded over about a 6-week period. I think I was working like 75 hours a week to do these videos. It was brand new to editing. This is when you did not have AI editing. It was super tough to do it. And I created this beautiful series. You can find it on my playlist. But one of the videos in particular really stood out and helped this channel to grow and was kind of a foundation for the videos and the audience that was originally drawn to this channel. And it was around signs and synchronicities from our passed away loved ones. And part of my journey and my spiritual awakening was losing my soulmate, Mark Abrahamian, who was the lead guitarist of the band Starship. And the reason I always say that is because he communicated with me through music, and he still does. The last time I saw him alive, he did what they called a singer show, where the band Starship played their normal lineup, but they played 4 songs with the lead singer of the band, Toto. And one of those 4 songs was a song called Hold the Line. I'm sure you're probably familiar with it. Mark has used that song specifically over the last, I would say, since 2017 or 2019, since 2019, he sent it to me in a very specific way. What would happen was I would be driving. It could be my car, a rental car, or in somebody else's car. It was always related to XM radio, and it was related to yacht rock, which was fairly new at the time. And yacht rock at that time did not play the song Hold the Line. It was played on Classic Rewind and 70s on 7 only. And what would happen is I'd be driving and all of a sudden my radio would freeze and it might say Hall and Oates Rich Girl, and Hold the Line would play for the 4 minutes and 3 seconds over it. You guys, I'm like so specific about documenting this that I have an entire spreadsheet. I can tell you exactly what time. I can tell you the song that played before, the song that played after, what time zone I was in, if it was a partial song, because sometimes I would get in and turn on the car and the song would be playing. Sometimes a commercial was on and it would freeze the commercial. And this happened 199 times. I was one song away from getting it for the 100th time when Yacht Rock decided that Hold the Line was a Yacht Rocky song and started playing it for real on the radio station. But Mark still uses that with me. And so my signs and synchronicities are going to kind of be around that today, because last weekend I had a massive trip that I had to take. In addition to driving to my cabin, which is like 36 hours of driving, 2,100 miles to get from where I live in Arizona up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I had car problems with my Jeep and I had to leave my Jeep to be fixed in Kansas City. So I actually drove last weekend on Friday, 13 hours to Kansas City, got there at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then turned around the next day and got on the road like 11 a.m. and got home at 1:15 in the morning. So like in just 2 days, I drove 26 hours. And Mark decided to be along on this trip. So I'm going to share some of the signs that happened on this trip last weekend. So as soon as I got in the car to begin my drive at 11:15 a.m. in Kansas City, as soon as I turned on the car, the Elvin Bishop song "Fooled Around and Fell in Love" was playing. Now, Marty Thomas was the lead singer of Starship during the 80s. Remember all those songs? We Built This City, Jane, No Way Out. Well, he was the lead singer of the Elvin Bishop band, and that was one of their most popular songs. And so every single concert I ever saw Mark play in, that song was played. And when I started my car, it wasn't just randomly playing that song. As soon as I turned on the engine, the first note of the guitar solo played, which was Mark's part. And that was always super special to me. So that was super cool. Then later on in the trip, I saw a license plate with 111 on it. And that was all it had on it, was 111. So I thought that was pretty cool. One of the other signs that Mark has given me over the years is when I first connected to him through a medium. Mark had kind of a wicked sense of humor. And he said through the medium, I'm not going to be sending you any cheesy signs like doves or cardinals. And she said he got a wicked little smile on his mouth and said, how about beavers? I'll send you beavers. And I kid you not, I probably see more beavers swimming in ponds on the sides of trucks pictured in magazines. Like, it's kind of insane. Well, on my way home, I needed to stop at Walmart and it was getting pretty late and I wasn't going to be able to stop at the Walmart closer to my house. So I happened to stop at the one that was right off the highway in a town called Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. And as soon as I left after I had gone to Walmart, I let Blaze outside to run around. I got in the car and within 3 minutes, Hold the Line played. And Hold the Line also played 5 minutes after the Alvin Bishop song. So it's kind of interesting that I heard Hold the Line on the same radio station 2 times on the same day in this 13-hour trip. So the last sign isn't related to Mark, but I thought it was kind of funny. The universe, God, spirit team, spirit guides, however you want to look at this, that's sending us these signs, love to do synchronicity things for me that involve multiple things. And I have talked before how I love a channel called Y-Files. And on that channel, they've been doing episodes called Basement, where AJ sits down for like 4 hours with a guest and they talk about all kinds of crazy things. And he had an archaeologist that specialized in the Americas and had also had a fascination with the Greek history of archaeology. And I was just driving through Iowa and listening to this podcast on YouTube, downloaded, and he started talking about the Alexandria Library. And if you don't know what that is, it's a library that was burned down that is thought to have like all of these ancient books and wisdom and kind of secrets to the past. And it wasn't burned down like once, it was burned down like 3 or 4 times over a lot of time. And so he was talking about this and he said these words: it burned, it burned, it burned. And at that exact moment, I passed this car. I'm going to pull up the license plate and show you guys because I thought this was super funny. Okay. Can you see what it says? There's a little bit of it says Ember. It says Ember, Ember. So like he's talking about a fire and he says it 3 times and I pass a license plate with the word Ember. So anyway, that is that's a lot of signs and synchronicities that I had. And if you guys have ones that you want to share, would love to hear them. But I'm going to check in the comments and see how you guys are doing and see what you guys want to talk about tonight. So again, welcome everybody. I'm so happy to have you. And of course, if you're not able to join us live and you're watching the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. We have such a beautiful community here, and I really love connecting with you guys. So Donna says that so Donna Bennett is in the comments. She is a staple in the comments on the video. She's been on the channel for a long time and a massive supporter of this channel. So she said she's usually listening on her drive home from work, but she's home early today and happy to participate in the live chat. So hello from Eugene, Oregon, and hello to everybody here. That's super nice. Yes, I am still at the cabin, so I'll be here all summer. Okay, Black Cat. I think you told me last week what your name was, but I'm sorry, didn't write it down. And so you're saying hello. Scott Lawler. Scott was one of the very first interviews that I ever did on this channel. You guys can check him out if you go back to the beginning, like almost 4 years ago. So Scott saying hi. I am doing so well. And Scott, I hope you are too. I'm so happy. I'm always happy to see you here. I know you've been here a few times. So Donna, so Black Cat. Okay, let's keep going. All right. So Donna says Sunday before last, that day was full of synchronicities. My favorite scare number 11 and 22. My total on a receipt was 1122. And then I saw 999. I love it on a license plate on my drive to the gym. Then 222 on that. And she probably hit the space button before or the send button before she meant to finish that one. I love that. Somebody said, so Black Cat, you said that you got 111. You saw 111 on a license plate yesterday. That's pretty incredible. I think mine, I took a picture of it. I have to look at it. Let me see what state mine was in. If I can find it real quick. I don't know that I can find it that fast. No. I think mine was, oh, there it is. There it is. I have a side view of it. Mine was in Iowa that said 111. So curious to hear where yours was. Okay, I asked my mom, who passed away in 2001, to send me yellow swallowtail butterflies. I've seen 3 since. I think that that's so beautiful. So definitely common that spirits use little insect messengers. I know dragonflies are big for people, butterflies are big for people, ladybugs. We get all kinds of different birds, hummingbirds especially, and different messenger birds. But I think that what spirit does, the way I think it works, I don't think it's like your mom is the butterfly. I think that the butterflies are influenced by the other side because everything's a vibration. So, although to our human selves, when we think about it, we think, oh, that sounds impossible. Like, how could that be for me? But if you look at it as a thought creation, the world is a thought creation from the other side where their vibration allows them to create instantly, it would be so easy for them to manipulate things in order to send us these little messages, to leave us coins, to send us feathers. So I think it's very easy for spirits on the other side. I think the hard part for spirits on the other side is to get our attention enough in this busy, busy world that we live in for us to stop long enough to actually notice them. I wonder how many signs and synchronicities we miss. And I found that on my spiritual journey, the deeper I get into this journey, the more I understand about who and what we are, the more synchronistic my life has become. It's almost a daily occurrence for me to get signs and synchronicities. And some of them might sound really simple and not make sense to anybody else. But the reason I like to share them is because I want everybody to know that what I know for sure of our loved ones is that our loved ones are always around us. They hear everything that you have ever thought to them. They have heard every word you've ever spoken to them. They know what's going on in your life. And remember, they already went through a life review. They experienced you, not just from their perspective, but from your perspective of how you interacted with them. They now know you on the other side better than they ever knew you when they were here alive. And they want us to know, because they are in a state of being of love, that they love us and that they are with us. If you're not getting signs and synchronicities and you want them, maybe right before you go to bed, ask for them and try to be as open as you can and try to notice them. But don't get discouraged. You are never, ever bothering a spirit. I don't know where that concept or idea came into the vernacular, but at some point somebody said, oh, or some medium said, oh, we're bothering them. They're so busy. There is no time. They can do anything they want. For them, they feel like they saw us yesterday and they're going to see us tomorrow. Where for us, we feel like we're here forever. Like, so would it be that big of a deal if to them it felt like we were gone for 2 weeks to pop in every once in a while during that 2 week period of us being on our journey for them to interact with us? Of course not. And since they're in a state of being of love and they know that we miss them, they know that we long to connect with them, why would they not try and connect with us? So I hope that that helps. If you've lost somebody and you want to hear signs and synchronicities, you want to see signs and synchronicities, just know that it's possible and you have to be open to it, and they'll come eventually in whatever way. And they're not always going to come in the way that we ask or that we expect. They'll be sent in the way that most works for the other side, for the highest and greatest good, I would say. So, okay, I'm going to go back to the comments here. Let's see. Um, oh, I'm in Pacifica. Maya. Okay, your name's Maya. Nice to meet you, Black Cat Maya. Donna said, I am. Although there is another lovely Donna who's been here longer. I'm a newbie girl, about a year. Yeah, but you've been participating pretty much in most of the videos and commenting. So I see you. I always see everybody. Maya said, I'm not on a plate, but it popped up on my clock. Oh, I love that too. That's great. Those are the easiest ones to see. Yes, I get dragonflies, hummingbirds, feathers, butterflies, coins, numbers galore daily for years now. I love that. What when I happen to notice there is a gentle reminder from the spirit realm. Yep, I've gotten a feather from my grandpa. That's beautiful too. Um, I get most of my communication through dream astral, but I have seen spirits a few times. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen any spirits, but I definitely have had some pretty profound dreams for sure. Laurie, as much as I love that you appreciate me here on your lives and my comments, your videos, and in the chat, there is another Donna, and I know she's a Donna that's been contributing. Yeah, but I feel like you've been on here too. So yes, I'm just acknowledging. I'll acknowledge all the Donnas. Let's see. I've been tuning for active more lives, more late. Yes, I love that. Okay, so all right. I thought of one thing that I really want. Since you don't have any comments, I'll wait for you to add some more comments. I thought of something that I wanted to address that I thought was kind of interesting. So, one of the reasons I started doing NDE videos is because of the life review. I feel like the life review had such an impact on me and how I navigate my life, how I am in the world, because when we understand that we have a ripple effect, good or bad, positive or negative, unknown or unknown, then we do things differently because we understand that we're going to have to relive our lives. And if we can show up more in love, then I feel like we are doing a better job of what we decided to come here to do and who we decided to be. And when I share the experiences of the life reviews, I think it touches a lot of people and it gives them pause, because when you truly understand that what you do to another, you do to yourself in the most literal state, because of how you're going to experience it later, because of how it weaves in and out through the collective, then it definitely gets people's attention. And one of the key, I think, takeaways from life reviews is that when people have them, they often talk about judgment and lack thereof. So they state over and over again that Jesus could be standing there with them, listening to their life review, but there's no judgment. God could be standing there reviewing the life with them, and there is no judgment. Sometimes questions are asked like, how could you have done that differently? What would you have done differently? Just maybe making people aware of how they could have shown up better, more in a state of love, but they are not judged. They are not judged by spirit guides, angels, Jesus, God, you name it. They're not judged. But because we're human and people come back and they have to be human again, and their ego comes back online, and they're no longer their higher self vantage point like they maybe were when they had their life review, they often beat themselves up for how they were, how they treated other people after they have this life review experience. And it causes them to come back and make massive changes within their lives. So, we've talked a lot on this show in these interviews about judgment and how it's really important to get to the point, to the place where you're not judging everything, and that includes in our everyday life. And I understand that we have to make judgments in order to navigate the world, but do we have to make assumptions about things that may or may not be true? Because when people have a life review, some of the things that are understood, I'll reference Bubba. If you guys watched Bubba's NDE, he had a near death experience where he had had a father that he felt was very heavy handed. He had used a belt to discipline he and his brother, and they had a lot of resentment towards their dad about how hard their dad was on them as they were growing up. And when he died and he had a life review, he got to experience his dad's perspective and point of view, because he became his dad in his life review. And he not only experienced what his dad was thinking about his life review, or about his experiences as he was disciplining, but he also saw how his dad had been disciplined growing up, and then saw how the grandfather had been disciplined growing up, and how each one was progressively easier on the next generation. But to Bubba, he still felt like it was too harsh. But during that life review, he came to understand that although it didn't feel like it to his human experience, his dad was doing the best he could and was showing up in the only way he knew how, based on how he was raised. And he was really doing it from more of a state of love than to be mean. And he came back and had some deep conversations eventually with his dad, who was still alive, which was pretty eye-opening and incredible experience. And so it makes you stop to think, like, how many things am I judging that maybe aren't based in a reality for the other person, or because I don't know enough, I've made an assumption. And so I want to call something out that was said about one of the lives when in a comment, because I responded to this person, and I'm not upset about this in any way, but somebody made a really big assumption about something, and I had to kind of clarify my reasoning behind it. So I'm going to share this. Let me see if I can call Blaze. Blaze, here, Blaze, come here, come here, here, you can come up here. She's on the couch. Did you guys see her? Come here, my girl. Okay, come on. Okay, so this is my girl Blaze. I'm kind of standing up at a like an island, so she's having a hard time. She's probably can't really come up like she does at my Arizona house. But okay, so that is my dog Blaze. I've had her for a little bit over a year, and she often makes an appearance in these lives. And somebody in the comments wrote that they thought it was terrible that I bought a dog because they could tell it was a purebred from a breeder. And they said a whole lot of things about how it's like was such a an unconscious decision. So you're feeding these breeders when all these dogs are in a pound and could be rescued and need to be rescued, and how if I was a better person, then I would have rescued a dog and I wouldn't have supported a breeder. And she went on and on and on about it. So I want to speak to this because I did buy my dog from a breeder, and I bought my dog for a very, very specific reason. So I don't have a normal life. I understand that most people who get a dog live in their house, they exist in their house. Maybe they go off to work and then they come home, and maybe they take their dog for walks and do things like that. But their dog is largely like a part of the family that's in their house and is with them. Well, my dog is a massive companion and has to be a certain temperament to be able to super mind me, because my dog spends over 1,000 miles hiking with me per year. We climb mountains regularly in Arizona. I climb over 300,000 vertical feet of mountains during an entire year and 1,000 miles of hiking. So I can't have a dog that doesn't want to be outside and doesn't have a super high energy. I needed a very specific dog. And because this has been my lifestyle for several decades, I've had hunting breeds of dogs because they're super high energy. They're also super, super responsive. So I can train them in a way that they can be off leash and they can stay with me and they can stay safe. And they just wind up being a bigger companion in my life. So I wouldn't have taken a chance of rescuing a dog that was not going to be up to the lifestyle that I had. So I think that this is just one small example that I wanted to share about how we often make assumptions, judgments coming from our unique perspective. And it's okay to have a perspective, and it's okay to ask people things. But when we judge people, especially when we judge them negatively, I think that we'll experience later in our life review that our perceptions of what we thought was a reality was way, way, way off. And I'd love to hear from you guys, either if you're watching this in the future, if you're watching this now. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that because I think it's really important to get to a place as we're on the spiritual journey where we try not to judge, because we oftentimes have no idea what we think we're judging. And so if we can get to the place where we are loving people, we don't have to love things that people do because maybe they are not kind or they're not things that we would do. But we have to get to the point where we're past the judging. And I think that this is also important because we have to get to a place where our thoughts are a little bit more pure, and we don't sit here and have these judgmental thoughts and these energies that we're projecting to other people, because there is going to be a time, maybe it's in my lifetime, maybe it's not, where telepathy is a thing. It's already happening. So, the sooner we get to the place where we're a little bit more pure in our thoughts, I think the better things are going to be, and the less negative energy we're sending out to others, because everything, every single thought goes out and affects somebody, whether you are aware of it or not. And that includes if you're watching TV or politics and you're projecting something towards somebody because you don't like it. So, one of the practices that I've really tried to implement, and it's not always easy, I'm not saying that we don't slip up a little bit or get mad. I'm human. I get mad. I get upset. Things happen, but less and less. Like, I don't let things bother me. I used to really, let people bother me in traffic because I pretty much lived most of my adult life in Chicago, having to drive in rush hour traffic and people cutting you off and constantly swearing at people and saying, like, I don't even think those kinds of things anymore. I let things like that go. I just don't react anymore, or I just try and send love because I just don't want to pollute myself with that. But anyway, those are just some thoughts. So happy to have anybody weigh in. Thank you. Yes, Blaze she's such a good girl. Oh my gosh, I love that dog so much. We hiked twice today. We did a 2-mile hike this morning, and then we went on, I think, a 4.5-mile hike tonight before I came on my live. So I love my time in nature with her. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go back to the comments because I went on my tangent and I don't know where we are. Okay, I'm finding it. So, Donna, you're saying I've always been fascinated with the life review portions of NDE. I started diving into ND stories when I was 19, and I've been locked in ever since. I know they are so fascinating. I have no idea how many I've consumed now. Thousands. I just couldn't even begin to count them anymore. Um, You've been thinking recently last night about the life review and how the world would be different from having one. Absolutely. And I think the world is different as people share their experiences of them. I mean, there are some people who have had some really brutal experiences in their life review, and they serve as examples because one of the big, I think, influencers of not only the life review are the changes that people make after they've had them. And I can think of several people off the top of my head who completely changed their life after a life review, who I've interviewed. There's a lot of them. It's pretty incredible, actually. So Coastal Flyer. I don't. Please tell me what your name is. The best book on the life review is Your Life's Ripple Effect by Jeff Jansen. I've not heard of that book. We'll probably have to check that one out. Sylvia said, in your life review, do you feel all the pain you've already felt in life, or you just feel the pain you haven't felt or learned from? All right. So if you're asking, like, did I stub my toe and you felt that in the life review? I don't know that that would be productive. And I don't think it works that way. If you mean emotional pain, potentially, but I don't think that that's the purpose of the life review. And I would imagine, just like these NDEs, that the life reviews are probably pretty specific and pretty unique to every individual who has them. Maybe if you woke up really early in your life and you started reacting differently, your life review might be focused more on the early part of your life, or it might be skipped over because you learned so much from it, or you made amends for so many things that you knew you needed to make amends for, that it just becomes it's a moot point. Like, maybe you don't even need it as a an experience because you've already maybe transmuted the energy of all that. So I'm not sure, but I don't think that you would experience physical pain. So if you had an illness, I don't think you would experience that in the same way. And I do think that because you don't have an ego like any earthly ego, I also don't think that as you're going through a life review that you make excuses for anything. So you know how you could look at a situation and you could say, okay, I got in this argument with this person, but I was justified because of this and this and this, and they were not justified because of this and this. I don't think that that part exists anymore. I think the human ego, where we would compare, make excuses, or be defensive, is probably gone. And I just think it's probably of a more pure experience. So I don't know if that really answers your question, because I think the better answer to do you feel pain I don't know. I don't know. So thank you for asking that. The next time I have somebody with a life review, I may try to remember to ask a question like that, because I think it's probably something that people would be interested in hearing about. So these lives are so helpful because sometimes it gives me a different perspective on how I'm going to approach future guests. So thank you. Oh, Blaze is gorgeous, sweet girl. She is. She's such, oh my gosh, that dog. I remember one of the breeders who I talked to before I bought her said to me about this breed, if they could crawl into your soul, they would. One of my favorite times of the day is in the morning when I wake up. Blaze loves to just lay her whole neck across my neck, and she just wants to cuddle. And so sometimes I don't even want to get out of bed because I just want to enjoy cuddling with her. She's just, I just love her so much. I think pets are so special because they're our best example of unconditional love, because I don't think humans can actually have unconditional love. I think we always have some kind of a condition that comes with everything that we're doing. Okay. Yes, Donna said thousands of NDEs for you as well. I had a guide remind me in a lucid dream that on the spirit side, there's no private thoughts. Absolutely. So, one of the things that is communicated is telepathy. And I don't think telepathy is an experience where you say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And instead of the words coming out, you hear in your mind, "Hey, how are you doing?" I think it comes along with every emotion that you would feel in the greeting of that person, and everything would be understood on a level that would be like as if they were in your mind, as if they were you, because on the other side, you know how people say we are one. They mean that in a literal sense. There is such a close connection that, again, there wouldn't be anything to hide from that vantage point, because we would just know everything. There would be no lies, no mistruths, no misconstrued ideas. Everything is understood when telepathy is involved. And you will hear many, many NDEers talk about that and specifically talk about it. So if we were going to describe something like Thanksgiving, it wouldn't just be where I would talk about what Thanksgiving was like to me. They would feel all the feelings that I had, or maybe taste what my grandma's dressing, stuffing tasted like, or feel what it felt like to be with my whole family, or just, maybe it's fall feeling. And all of that would come along with the telepathy. It wouldn't just be the words. So I definitely agree that on the other side, communication is markedly different than it is here. But we might get to a point where we are semi close to that at some point, I think. Okay, so Coastal Flyer says the most interesting aspect of life review is how they see it from their point of view, the other point of view in a 360-degree view. It really points out to how there are no secrets. And we are, yeah, I agree. Donna also says our animals have a way of paralyzing us. We don't want to disrupt them. That's true. One awareness expressing itself in unbounded, infinite ways. Absolutely. Um, it helps to regulate your emotions. You mean like having a pet? I agree too. Anxiety seem to be in the ego's play toy. Oh, hi Tammy. Any suggestions to take control? Okay, so I have heard this said before, and I think that this is so fascinating. Depression is a result of living too much in the past where things have happened. We can't control them. They're already done and gone, and we are worrying, ruminating, and obsessing over those things, and that causes depression. Anxiety is the opposite. It is from spending too much time in the future. So, worrying about what might happen, what could happen, what might not happen. And that has a level that raises our anxiety. So, what I would say is, as much as you can, try to be in the present moment, try to be in gratitude, try to understand that we can ask for things in the future. We can hope for things, but since we don't always understand what we've set up for ourselves to experience, we won't always get some of the things that we're asking for. And so the happiest place that you can be is in the only place that actually exists, which is the time right now. So I'll share one thing that I do. I'm human, right? And I have a busy life, and I have this corporate job that I work, and I have my YouTube channel, and I think about things that people write to me in the comments. And I'm hiking, and I'm by myself, and I'm in the woods, and I'm hiking with Blaze, and I'm trying to enjoy nature, but my mind wanders, and I'll think about things that are going on with work, things that I need to do. I'll think about places that I want to go. I mean, my mind will just wander all over the freaking place, right? Like everybody else. So, one of the practices that I have, because I do not have the ability to just clear my mind, that doesn't exist, but I can say certain words to kind of keep me in line. And so, my recent hikes that I did, so I did a 13-mile hike with Blaze on Sunday. It was so gorgeous. I saw one person. Like, how lucky am I? I got to be completely by myself in the woods. And throughout that whole hike, anytime my mind wandered, I came back to this little mantra that I say. I say love. I say, love, eternity, and everything is one. And I will just keep saying that over and over again. And so that way I'm just paying attention. So I'm looking around, I'm saying those words, love, eternity, everything is one. And I'm noticing the green on the leaves. I'm noticing how the ferns are starting to unfurl. I'm noticing the moss that's starting to green up. Like I'm just enjoying the birds and the nature. And that's the way that I come back to a place. So you could do something like that. You can make up anything that maybe takes your attention and focus to where you want it to be, which is in the present moment. Or instead of maybe having mantras that you say, maybe you start thinking of things that you're grateful for because you can't control the future and anxiety is definitely connected to that. And so live in the present moment. And I know I'm telling you things that it sounds so easy, like, oh, sure, that's easy for you. I have this bill and this problem and XYZ. And we all have those things, but we all get to choose how we respond to them. So I hope that really helps. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go back to the comments and looking at my time too, just trying to be mindful of the time. We'll wrap it up here maybe in about 10 minutes or so because I still have to edit tonight, you guys. All right. Wow, you guys really got busy in these comments while I was talking. Um, people need to have some manners and respect that your business. I know, but I don't think anybody means anything negatively. They just feel so strongly about certain things and they just want to voice their opinions. It happens all the time in the comments, but I take it with a grain of salt. When I find myself judging another, I catch myself and evaluate why and correct those thoughts. I love that. Awesome. Trish says, you don't need to explain why you choose the dog you did to anyone. I get that, but I do engage with people and I use that as a way to explain maybe why judgment isn't the best way to approach things in life. So some of these can be just sharing some spiritual concepts that might help somebody. If source doesn't judge, who are we to do so? Huge human flaw. Absolutely. 1,000,000%. Yes. Mikey Lemon Trees. I love that name. So funny. Makes me laugh every time. Blaze is beautiful. You don't need to justify your actions. People protect you. That's crazy. Yes. You have the right to get any dog you want for whatever reason. I know. I know. Still working on the traffic thing. Ha ha ha. Work in progress. I get it. That was one of my big things. I think I gave that up in about the last year, but it took me a long time. This judgmental assumption is toxic and based on being critical. Absolutely. Sylvia said, I had always thought that my thoughts didn't affect people. I guess they do. Oh my gosh. So, here, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that you're in a conversation and maybe there's like 3 or 4 people in this conversation, and one of them is your boss. And you don't like your boss, and you're sitting there and you're playing nice because you know you have to. But in your mind, you're secretly going, God, I don't like this person. And you're saying all these things whether that person is consciously aware of it or not, all of that energy is being directed towards them and it's affecting them. And there was somebody recently in a near death experience that I listened to with a life review that experienced the energy part of that and what it did, like the ripple effect. Like if we stretch everything out, when you really understand how interconnected everything is, it all eventually comes back to you. So, you can be as negative as you want in your thoughts. Go ahead. But that's eventually what's going to come back your way. So, if for nothing else, if not for other people, do it for yourself because it's actually affecting you. So, yes, are our thoughts powerful? Massively, massively powerful. Because on the other side, how do we create with our thoughts? Um, Spoiler alert, in my experiences on the other side of being the source of all that is, one of the things I understood without any doubt is that our actions and our thoughts were all by just a thought creation. So it's not like God is sitting there, source is sitting there with hands. Source doesn't have any aspect to it that it's human. It's knowledge and wisdom beyond anything you could comprehend. And everything is done from a thought creation. So, absolutely, massively, massively important. This judgmental assumption is yes. Thousands for you as well. I had a guy okay, yep, let's see. I worked with Kenneth Ring and wrote the introduction. Coastal Flyer, I love Kenneth Ring. I would love to actually interview Kenneth Ring. What a fascinating person. Yes, your life's ripple effect. Donna said, when I was young, I did too. Yes, you know differently. Thank you. Oh, you meant emotional pain. I don't think we would experience emotional pain in the same way that we experience it from the human. I think we would understand everything that went into it, how our emotional pain was formed because of maybe some assumptions that we were making. Because I think pain and suffering a lot of times comes from how we react to certain things. So you can have two people in the same family who react completely different to a discipline from a parent. And one of those kids could be crippled by how the parent disciplined them, and the other one could harness that and use it to become like more competitive and make themselves better and stronger in the world. It was all a choice. It was the same discipline, two different people, two different reactions. So we can't control everything, but we can control how we react to things. That is a choice always. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to get mad, to be frustrated. We are human. It's going to happen. There is no perfection. There is no right or wrong. It's your life and it's your experience. And everything is unfolding perfectly for you. And if you react in a bad way, you don't also need to beat yourself up for it. You just have to understand that as you know more and you grow and you evolve, that you can approach things differently from a different vantage point with a different reaction than maybe you would have in the past. I mean, think about yourself when you were in your 20s. Or how different are you now than you were in your 20s? Like, I kind of cringe at 20-year-old me and what I thought and what I would say and how I acted in the world. Like, I can't even imagine being that person. You couldn't pay me. You couldn't give me millions of dollars to go back and be that person again. Like, we learn and we evolve and we become different people, and it's okay, but I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up over the things that I did when I didn't know better. Neither would source, right? Because of course, source knows differently and better from a different perspective. It doesn't beat us up for that either. So give yourself a little bit of grace as well in these types of thought processes as you're reevaluating things from the past too. Okay, can I speak to the higher self? Yes. So I do believe, and this is also from my experiences on the other side, that we have a higher version of ourselves. It doesn't have an ego, and it is the most evolved part of who and what we are because it is accumulation of all of the life experiences we have had. We have probably had multiple lifetimes on Earth and other planets, and then just time where we took a break and we were just a soul on the other side. And from that perspective, we take a small portion of us. I'm going to say, like for me, I was shown that it was like my pinky fingernail that is in the Laurie incarnation. And it's not like it's a badge of honor that the more evolved you get, the more of your higher self comes in. I don't think it works that way. At least it didn't work that way from my perspective. It's just that the soul, the higher self, is so powerful. It doesn't need more than a small fraction of it to incarnate and be this Laurie experience, because it is also probably multitudes of other experiences at the same time. Because remember, everything's happening in an eternal, never ending present moment. It's not happening in a linear time frame like it is for us here. So the powerful soul that you are, the magnificence that you are, is something that I am so passionate about that I want you to remember. You are, as a higher soul, in a state of being of love. You come here to have experiences. You come here to experience love, your family, your pets, chocolate, hiking, whatever it is. But on the other side, you're in a state of being of love, which makes you very different. And you don't have the ego and the mind that you have to go through and filter through. You're just here having an experience. So everything is unfolding perfectly as far as what your higher self wanted to experience in the you that is here right now having this human incarnation. So I hope that helps. It's kind of like the old sticks and stones line. We now know that words do indeed hurt, absolutely, just like our thoughts affect the collective. If they're negative, we're all connected after all. And we so greatly affect the collective with our positive thoughts and with our love and with our loving actions too. Maybe even more so. I've heard so many NDEers talk about being on the other side and understanding that these little random acts of love and kindness ripple through not just the collective of the people who are living on the earth, but it ripples through into the other dimensions on the other side. Like it's powerful. Like love is the most powerful force in the universe, and that is what you are. So, the more that you can learn to love yourself here, the more smoothly I think your experience will go because you'll give yourself the grace and you'll show up differently. So when we love ourselves, we don't do these things that are so self destructive. So, and actually, I want to address something. I did have somebody in last week's live. They asked a comment in the live, and I wanted to just talk about it super briefly. They wanted help on their daughter's alcoholism and helplessness. And I think the best thing that you can do is understand that you cannot control another person's outcome. You can help influence them by being a great example, and you can show up in love and support. Nobody's going to overcome any kind of an addiction until they're ready to do that. And it has to be a personal choice for them. You can't force them into it. I mean, I suppose you can throw them into rehabs and different things like that, but the best thing that you can do is show up in love and love them and try not to judge what they're going through and why, because you don't know what somebody set up for themselves. There might be something that they have to learn from that that helps them in experiences or helps them help other people later. So you just have to be there and love them. So I'm sorry if you're going through something with your children, especially where you're watching. It's really hard to watch your children be in pain when you're the parent and feel helpless, like you can't do anything, but you can always love them. So I think that that's probably the best thing I can say about that. Okay, I'm going back down to the comments because I got kind of back behind. Our animal, oh, I think I read that. One awareness expressing itself in unbounded infinite ways. Yes, I think I read that one already too. Hmm. Maya is saying he was able to telepathically communicate with his Brooklyn accent he had in the life. I think that's awesome. Um, oh, love shorts of you and Blaze hiking, by the way. Oh my gosh, that was from forever ago. Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean the ones in the very back of my video from last summer when she was little? Yeah, those were fun. I think it's challenging for people to initially realize that the divine, our nature, isn't human. Yeah, I agree. Made it to the last moment. At least wanted to tell everyone hello. Oh, hi. Hi, Donna. Thank you so much for joining us. Donna Bennett, I think Donna, the one who just joined, is the one that you were talking about. But look, you guys are both in the comments all the time. I appreciate both of you so much. Um, Maya says, humans often frame things from human laws and ways, and we can peel that tendency away and see the bigger picture from a divine love. Absolutely. We just don't know what we don't know. And then Tammy says, oops, a second, blocking myself. Imagine if everyone in this group decided to pick up trash for half an hour a week, side of the road, neighbor parks, especially places that no one sees it, just saying, "Hey, listen, I pick up garbage every single time I hike. Today I picked up a rolled over bug spray, a piece of tinfoil that Blaze found because it had food sometimes like connected to the outside of it, and she ran with it, and I had to pick it up. I picked up one of those tooth flosser things on my 13-mile hike. I always, 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 if I see anything in nature, like I don't want to see any trash, I'm immediately picking it up. So I love that. And I love that you do that and encourage everybody to do that. And even more than that, I will encourage everybody watching, if you can just do one little session, maybe think of somebody who you're not particularly fond of, and instead of sending them some thoughts that aren't necessarily in their best interest, why don't you send somebody love? And I think if we were to do that, that would radically change the world. So, with that, I'm going to say to everybody, thank you so much. I love this community. I love coming here and spending some time with you today. I really look forward to these sessions. And I do hope that one of these days I figure out how to make this a little bit more interactive, like maybe where you guys can come on the video or I can hear your voice and you can ask questions in real time. Maybe it'll be like some form of a Zoom that's on a live for YouTube. I don't know. I need to look into all these things, but I just want to say how grateful I am for all of you who tune in. Thank you so much for watching the videos, for commenting, for liking, for being a subscriber. All those things help this channel to grow. But more than anything else, thank you for sharing this content with people in your life who might need to hear the messages that these beautiful people want to share and come on the channel to be vulnerable with their experiences, because they open themselves up sometimes to comments that aren't the best. But every time somebody shares these things, we get a little more of the puzzle pieces, right? We grab a few more puzzle pieces and the whole picture starts to come more into focus. And I think that as we help each other, we all benefit. So you are powerful, beautiful, amazing souls. Thank you so, so much for what you do. And thank you so much for what you are doing to wake up the collective. It is so needed. And with that, I will say to everybody, I love you and have a wonderful night. And I will see you next Wednesday.